With depth being an issue almost across the whole board for Jonathan Gannon, the 2022 draft could provide almost a perfect blueprint to double dip with the Eagles on the defensive side of the football. What is up, Bird Brothers and Sisters? Lindy Endzone is back for the touchdown, taking the lead for the Philadelphia Eagles. One video at a time. And, well, if you didn't catch the latest episode of Touchdown Talk with Joey Shakes paying a visit to the channel once more, our last stream was, well, about 9 months ago. Crazy how time flies. But this time I cannot thank you guys enough for the incredible support, the incredible traffic, if you will, that the show got as a whole. Over 500 views and climbing, approaching 65 likes. It was an unbelievable show that really carried longer than it was supposed to. But you guys were the ones that made the show, and letting it go as long as it did. Joey and I kept bouncing back and forth with question after question on how the Eagles are going to attack this draft, how we would want them to attack this draft, and it was just an overall successful stream. I think one of my best records on my channel, and I can't thank everybody enough for such a successful revival of the Touchdown Talk series. And if you are a content creator that would like to be a part of Touchdown Talk that you haven't yet, if you would like to be one of the latest guests of Touchdown Talk, let me know. Let me know down in the comments, or go follow me on Twitter. The handle is the same, and let's get something going on the Eagles and whatever team that you are a content creator for in the NFL. We'll get some talk going, but nonetheless, let us get to our scheduled program of this video. We got ourselves our very first mock, and as the title suggests, in this one we are going to prioritize defense. Now, we can go across the board with this one: corner, safety, linebacker, defensive line. I mean, again, the Eagles are in a position that doesn't really favor them in terms of depth on the defensive side of the football. Slay is by himself once again, especially with Steven Nelson getting a 2-year deal with the Houston Texans and not being a part of the Eagles secondary anymore. It only adds to some extra urgency to get somebody in here, whether it's through the draft or maybe free agency. But free agency doesn't seem like the approach to this point. We know that the Eagles have made a push for Stephon Gilmore. They were unsuccessful at that. So it kind of shifts a all-out focus to the draft and who they can eventually, land. And as we know, they have already had some pre-draft top 30 visits with especially 2 first-round selections in Andrew Booth Jr. and Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Sauce is not going to fall past 10 whatsoever. He may very well be top 5. So the Eagles may have work to do. If Sauce is their guy, they will have to trade up. And speculatively, one of the teams that may help them out there is the Carolina Panthers. I think Carolina is sitting at, I want to say they're sitting at 5 or 6. I think it's 6. Because as we know, the New York Football Giants select at number 5 and number 7. in their position, it depends what they're going to do with James Bradberry if they manage to trade him, which he's gonna, he'll be very expensive to do that. They'll take a pretty decent cap hit, I think. I think around $21 million or so that they may take on that if they do so decide to trade him. But if that's the case, then if I'm the Eagles, I'm going to try and get my guy just so an NFC East rival does not snatch him up. But for this, just for this example, we are not going to involve any trades as I add the screen here, and we are going to get to it. Let me fix that for a second. And well, again, as we know, with Howie Roseman as the GM and how selections have gone as of late, a lot of us are just in a position where we hold our breath the most with the first 3 rounds because it hasn't been as consistent as the late round picks, which Howie seems to hit more than the early rounders. Go figure. So we are going to go through our first 3 rounds here and try and prioritize them so we get somewhat of an idea on who will be available at said positions and give some sort of idea on what we can expect and go from there. So we're going to start this up here and see what our selections are going on. All right, so we finally made it to 15, and well, unfortunately, as a couple of mocks that I've done before, not for a recording, I am in fear of the Ravens taking Andrew Booth Jr. Into their ranks. They're going to want to bolster up their secondary with Marlon Humphrey recently going through some injuries, and they just got Marcus Williams to their safety group, and they need some help at corner, especially like I said with Marlon Humphrey's injury history as of late. And we already see Jermaine Johnson going, Stingley Jr., Garrett Wilson, Kyle Hamilton. Kenny Pickett actually goes to Seattle. Thibodeau, Travon Walker, all the best selections are pretty much gone. Sauce goes to the Jets. Yikes. So who does that leave us with? And we're going to go to our board here. These stupid advertisements. We'll get those out of the way. We're going to go to our board and see Drake London, Jameson Williams, Jordan Davis. Looks like Devontae Wyatt is still available there. Trent McDuffie. Khair Alam. Man, Booth was my pick here if he so managed to last. Now, I don't think we can necessarily go wrong here with Trent McDuffie. Between him and Andrew Booth, they're pretty much built around the same size, around 5'11", 6 foot, 190, 195. Matches the build of our Pro Bowler and Darius Slay. Between Booth and McDuffie, in terms of that selection, I think McDuffie will still be available if we just wait 2 more picks. I still think he'll be there. So I think we're going to go with one of the Georgia boys here in either Devontae Wyatt or Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis, I don't know with Jordan because the issue I have is he wasn't a 3-down D tackle at Georgia. I think he averaged around 20 snaps a game or so, something like that. I mean, that's just the only concern I have with him. other than just being a specimen of strength. I don't think you can go wrong with either Jordan Davis or Devontae Wyatt. I do think we have the coaching staff in place to really elevate Jordan Davis into a 3-down tackle. And we're going to need a high quality a D lineman, especially after the departure of Fletcher Cox. So I think we'll be safe in taking Jordan Davis here at 16, the first of our double dipping, at defense. And then we see Drake London and Trevor Penning going. So yes, I mean, you know, this is the crazy part, and I understand. And we could double dip at D tackle if we, defensive lineman if we want. We can double dip there because Devontae Wyatt's still on the board. But this team is in dire need of a corner, two outside corners especially. So I think we'll go Trent McDuffie here to complete our double dip in the first round of this version of our mock, our very first version. Again, this is version 1, so do not don't flame me. Don't flame whatsoever, because there's plenty more that we can do. Okay, round 2 is here, and we get to 51. Oh man, and another one of my selections, David Bell, was taken by Kansas City. That's a good pick for them. George Pickens is already gone. 51 was the spot where I was going to take a receiver, and I don't believe there's any quality ones left other than John Mechie. I think this would be a safe selection here. Mechie is another burner from that Alabama crew. I don't think a guy like Calvin Austin. I don't think he'll be in the mix. You're talking about a receiver that's under, he's under 5'8", Swiss Army knife type of kid. I just don't see it. A hell of a talent, but that's just the tough part, And then, once you get into once you get deeper into the board, you're seeing guys that can go, later in the third or even the fourth. Kyle Phillips, Khalil Shakir, Danny Gray, Justin Ross, guys like that. That'll still be available later. But the second round here, I think is where I'd be most comfortable with receivers. So I think we'll still be okay with John Mechie here. So that takes care of three selections that this team is in dire need of until we get to 83. And then we will see from here, still need an offensive lineman, edge rusher, safety. So we will X this off, and let's see who we have left here. Nick Benito, be a good edge rusher to work with. Let me see. We'll just keep going down here. I have to assume that the Penn State safety is gone. Yeah, he's definitely gone. So let's see. Where was he taken? So how Necross. We'll keep going here. So Jaquan Brisker was a early second round pick. Texans picked him up. I do think Kirby Joseph is a good. I do think Kirby Joseph's a good pick here in the third. Another decent safety that could go. in the third round here. That's the only thing. I don't know if the Eagles would be. I don't think the Eagles would take a safety as early as the third, although they could definitely use it, especially if the Honey Badger is, if they're not in the hunt for Tyrann Mathieu no more, then I think I'd be okay with Kerby Joseph here. So we'll take safety in the third. That shores up. Shores up that position. And then at 101, still in the third round, still need a edge rusher. I'm assuming Nick Benito was taken. So that doesn't leave much left to be desired here. D'Angelo Malone is another selection that's pretty good as far as edge goes. That could be realistic in the third. I do think that could be realistic in the third. He might last. D'Angelo might last until the fourth. But as far as best available, when you're talking the edge rusher position, D'Angelo Malone is a guy that the Eagles have used a top 30 visit on, so I would not be surprised if they select him here in the third. I think 81 would have been. I think 81 or 83, excuse me. I think 83 would have been way too early for a guy like D'Angelo. So I could see the Eagles taking him here at 101. So we'll finish this up here. We'll get to our users, and that'll do it. I think this is to me. I think this is pretty solid when you're thinking the first three rounds. I don't think you can go wrong here. That this leaves a lot of needs addressed for the Eagles when you're talking about defense. I mean, four of the first five picks have addressed positions on the defensive side of the football. We get our D tackle, we get our corner, we get a safety, and we get an edge rusher. But I don't think guys like Trent, Mechie, and Kerby, the Eagles have used top 30 visits on. But nonetheless, when you're talking best player available at any given point in time based on team need, I don't think the Eagles can go wrong with any of these selections. So with that said, y'all, let me know down in the comments what you think on the very first mock draft on the channel here. Version 1 was prioritizing the defensive side of the football. As I have mentioned, 4 of the first 5 picks in the draft, especially spanning from the first to the third round, you can see already that the list for the Eagles is top heavy in terms of their strength of selection. So let me know down in the comments what you thought of that list, any changes you would make in terms of the first mock that I have executed in terms of defensive priority. And, that'll do it for me. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. And again, I appreciate all the support that I have received in my comeback to the channel. And with that said, I will leave you all to it. Fly Eagles fly, bleed green. You guys already know the deal. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Fly Eagles fly. And I will see you next time.